Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. Coming to you from the back porch. So still doing the telework thing. And so I got to jump on a conference call here in about 9 minutes. So we'll try to cut this video pretty short, but I just wanted to update you guys on the list of scopes that I'm running currently. Not that you guys even care, or that my opinion means more than somebody else's opinion, because it doesn't. But just in case you were wondering, here's what I chose and why I chose what I did. As you can tell, I am a fan of Primary Arms and Athlon Optics. That's about as far as it goes. I did purchase the SWFA, the fixed 10. This is not the HD, okay? And all these are mounted on rifles currently, except for the Midas TAC. Had some issues with the base, yeah, the scope base, where you mount it to the Savage. It came loose, so I actually had to get all that squared away and tightened up. So I'm letting all that dry with some Loctite, and I'll be throwing that scope back on there pretty soon. But I'll kind of run through them. The Midas TAC, the one that we have sitting here, that was the first focal plane scope purchase I ever made, and it was the most money to date that I've spent on an optic. At the time, I bought it from Mr. Big Guns way back. I mean, he was, I think he was like $60 or $70 cheaper, something like that, than anywhere else. I mean, you couldn't get it online cheaper than what he carried it for. None of that. So I was in there one day and checking out the scopes. Wanted something to start getting more into the sort of longer range shooting. I've shot second focal plane scopes all my life with the standard crosshairs and just the normal, crosshair reticle that basically everybody grows up on. And I was looking at something different for the 6mm Creedmoor. And I was in there and was checking out that scope, and I was like, you know what, it was definitely not a budget scope in my opinion, with my budget and the price point, because I never spent that much. But I'm so happy that I spent the money on that optic. It's been an amazing optic so far. I know you guys probably aren't going to be able to see, maybe, good job Apple, with your video camera and stuff, but it has that Christmas tree style reticle. A lot of scope manufacturers are incorporating that style of reticle in their designs now. It's just a very convenient reticle to use if you're shooting long range. Once you have the velocity dialed in on your reloads, and you know that, and you zero your firearm at 100 yards from that point, it's pretty simple. It's very simple at that point to utilize that Christmas tree style reticle for your holdovers and everything like that, even your wind calls and all that. So very cool, very neat. That was the first optic that I'd ever purchased with that style of reticle. So yeah, really cool, really nice. It's got it's a lifetime warranty on it, which is why I like Athlon Optics. I'm a huge fan of Athlon for that very reason. I know a lot of people like Vortex for the same reason. I really like Athlon. Really good stuff. If you haven't tried them, give them a shot. So that was the Midas TAC. We'll just kind of go over some of the other stuff. The Talos BTR 4-14 by 44. Actually, I got that one. And the Primary Arms 4-14 by 44 first focal plane. They're both first focal plane, but I got those essentially just to compare to each other. I run the Talos, I run it on my Savage 110 Tactical in 6.5 Creedmoor. It has a similar, that's not going to focus, but not exactly the same, but a very similar Christmas tree style reticle. It's illuminated. The Midas TAC is not, but this one is illuminated, which is pretty sweet. It works really well. I have no issues with it whatsoever yet. I haven't been running it long. It's the newest scope that I've got, but it's working pretty good. The primary arms, the 4 to 14, 40 by 44 with the first focal plane, the R-Grid 2B reticle. Now that's something, if you're used to shooting your traditional crosshairs, that joker right there is, it's definitely a lot busier than what you're used to. It's taken me some getting used to. I've got this one on this is on the 308, the FNAR right now. It's got a chevron as your point of aim, instead of, your standard crosshairs. It's got a chevron in the center, and of course this isn't going to focus good enough for you to really see it clearly. And that's just really different. It's taken me a little bit of getting used to. It's not a dot, it's not a crosshair, it's none of that. It's a chevron. So you just put the tip of that chevron wherever you're wanting to hit, and when you zero it in at 100. So it's just different, something to get used to. But I've really enjoyed the scope. It's been great so far. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. The only issue I have with primary arms on something like this is it doesn't have a lifetime warranty. Okay, so, and the price points on these two guys are almost the same. They're like maybe $10 difference. I think this one was $279 maybe, and this one was $289 or something like that, or $299, whatever. But this one's got a lifetime warranty. This one doesn't. Now, a lot of primary arm stuff does have a lifetime warranty, but this particular model does not. I think it's got a 3-year warranty on it, maybe 3 to 5 year warranty on it. So that's something to keep in mind also, if you're going down the optics road. I got these because they are budget, what I would consider budget optics, right? They're the first focal plane, so they're more of your, if you're wanting to get into that longer distance shooting, these are two budget options that I think would serve you really well if that's something you're wanting to get into. The SWFA, the fixed 10, I got it because it was just a really good deal, and I had heard a ton of great things out there on YouTube about this brand of scope. Rex reviews, he's done several reviews on this scope and where it was manufactured and how it came to be and all that, and its genesis and everything. And so that type of content sort of led me down the path of, man, I'd really like to own one of these. And of course, you look at them and they're almost always on sale for, I think, $299.99. I think they were almost always $300 every time I looked for them. I'm drinking my coffee out here, but I finally came across them on Amazon. They were running a sale. I actually did a video about this when I was on travel one time. I was just searching through Amazon, and I picked up the scope and their one-piece mount for, it ended up being like $20 or $30 cheaper than what the scopes would always cost. They were always like $299, and I picked up the scope and the one-piece mount for like $260 or something. I can't remember now, whatever the price was. Really good deal. And so hopefully some of y'all took advantage of that if you saw it whenever I posted that. But I don't have a lot of time on with this scope yet. I've got it mounted on the Remington 700 22-250, so I plan on getting some more time in on that one. So yes, we'll have more to talk about at a later date there. So we've already talked about this, the R-Grid 2B reticle. So now we'll get down to some of the low power stuff. Now this guy has a lifetime warranty. Okay, so like I said, some of the primary arm stuff does. This one does. And I picked this one up for the 300 blackout that I have. It's the Palmetto State. It's got the Anderson lower. It's Palmetto State 300 blackout. Just your basic setup. It was a complete upper, and I bought their lower and all kind of, or lower parts kit and all that. And it was pretty cheap. But I threw this on there. Really like this setup for the 300 blackout. Again, it's got the chevron, so it's just different. It's taken a little getting used to, but in this setup I actually like it a whole lot because that chevron's pretty large. So when you're doing something like this and you're shooting primarily closer range and that type of thing, it's that chevron, that I really like that setup for that. Now on the other one, for the variable power optic, I'm still getting used to it, but on this one, this one's a winner for me for sure. I really like that. Some literature. This guy, this was the one, again, lifetime warranty. This was the one that I had on the FNAR to begin with, and then of course I'm like, well, if I'm shooting groups, I probably need to switch to a variable power optic like an idiot. I started out with this on there, but this is a pretty sweet optic as well. Again, more close range in mind, but it has that reticle in it where it's got the bullet drop compensation. So it says the same thing on the other one. It's got the specs and the instructions on what grain bullet and what velocity, you know, at what point does all that stuff actually factor in and work. But just a really cool reticle, really cool scope setup. You know, the little 3-power, super compact, extremely robust too. That's another thing that I've seen a lot of reports on out there on the interwebs, is how robust and I guess sturdy those things are. Now this guy is another Athlon Optics. So this is the 1 to 4 power. Now I put this on the this is on the Grendel. This is on the 6.5 Grendel build that we have. It's 1 to 4 by 24. Extremely good eye relief. So check out your reticle there. That's more, it's got kind of that crosshair right in the center. But I picked that one up because the 6.5 Grendel, for the hunting that we do and the shooting that we do with it, that's a 200 yard and in rifle for me, maybe even a little bit shorter. Anything beyond that, I'm grabbing the Creedmoor. Anything beyond that, we're grabbing the 338, right? So yeah, so we got options. But I wanted to put this on there. Actually, I picked this up just, you know, I wanted a low variable power optic because when you run off in the deer woods and maybe you're hunting some pines or whatever, just some thick brush, there's no point. I mean, even a 3-power, even a 3 to 9, you're starting out on 3-power. That might be a little too much even for that setup. I know my brother, I think he runs 2 to 7, I believe, and I think he leaves his basically on 2 all the time. Maybe it might even be a 1-power. But so I picked this up and it's worked great. My fiance loves it. She, as soon as I mounted it, I said, hey, because it's basically her rifle for the most part. That's the one she likes to shoot. And I was like, hey, check this out. And she lifted it up and she's like, holy smokes, like that's a huge difference. She said, I can see, you know, a lot better with it. It's easier to get positioned on it and, you know, see the whole, you know, scope, or see everything in the view of the scope. So that was a huge win there. She really liked that. But that's what we're running right now. I'll update you guys again once I get more time on everything. But so far, I have zero complaints about these two companies for sure, Primary Arms and Athlon Optics. On Primary Arms, just be careful, make sure that you're getting something that has a lifetime warranty. You know, if you're okay with not having a lifetime warranty, that's fine too. But the Athlon, man, that's the way to go. Really good optics, you know, for the money, especially. Primary Arms, Primary Arms, they've got some really awesome reticle designs out there. I know Trigicon now runs their reticle design in their ACOG. So yeah, they obviously know what they're doing. If Trigicon, you know, piggybacks off of them and says, hey, by the way, your reticle is so awesome, we're going to start putting it in our stuff, that gives you some pretty good credibility right there as to you probably know what in the hell you're doing, right? So go check out their stuff. And then the SWFA, I just got to get more time on it. I do like the reticle. It's mil. It's a mil reticle, which all of this stuff is. If you'll notice, it's mil reticle, mil reticle, mil. The R Grid 2B is mil. I don't have MOA stuff, so except for these guys. I think these guys shift and they might move in MOA, the little the prism scopes, but prism optics. But there you go. That's what we're running, and that's why I chose it. These guys, mostly to compare side by side for a budget first focal plane. This one, I just wanted something great on the Grendel, low power on the Grendel. That's my long range guy. And then these two, you know, obviously they serve a purpose for close range. And then the 10, that's just a unique scope. But there you go. That's what we're running. So this video went longer than I was wanting it to, but that's typically how I do it. So y'all have a good one. And if you're looking for some good scope deals, definitely check out Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. Matt, he's got a ton of Athlon stuff. He's got a lot of Crimson Trace stuff in. Just go check him out, see what all he's got, and tell him I sent you. And we'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.